Hi, how are you doing? Welcome back to the Edge of Conception. My name is Liz. I am a certified nurse midwife, and on this channel, I like to talk to you all about all things related to pregnancy, fertility, conception, contraception, postpartum, and gynecological care through menopause. Through this extra lens of not only evidence-based medicine and midwifery care, but also through the lens of the emotional, spiritual aspects of yourself, and adding all these complete physical bodies to your activated work so that you can get the life that you want. Because that's all we want for you. And that's what I want for you, to help you support you on your journey. So today we're talking specifically about preconception nutrition and the body seen as the soil, the fertilized ground that you need to tend to. So when we talk about preconception, if you see my eyes darting down, I have my notes because we're going to get into the full picture, and I want to get you the full evidence-based meat and potatoes of it before we spring off into the mental, spiritual, emotional aspects of it. When we talk about preconception in general and nutrition, the conversation usually starts and ends with folate, which is the vitamin, or I guess, is it a vitamin or is it like a mineral? Jewelry's still out for me, sorry. That we always bring up, right? Take your prenatals, eat your leafy greens, and the advice is accurate. That is proper advice. You need to do all these things. But when you think of your body not just as a vessel waiting to be filled with the right supplements and seeing it as soil instead, the quality of what grows in the soil depends entirely on how the soil has been tended to throughout your lifespan. So it's not just within the aspect of now you're pregnant or you're about to get pregnant, now do all this stuff. It is a lifestyle modification, a new lifestyle era that you've embarked on beyond preconception, beyond pregnancy, beyond postpartum, as just your now womanly life. So today we're talking about what it exactly means to prepare your body as the ground where life begins. So let me orient you to the actual evidence base. So it's recommended to begin taking healthy nutritional changes at least 3 months to a year before trying to conceive. I'm going to tell you right now, at least a year. 3 months to a year, that's being gentle. If you want to be hardcore, a year. And also, not the body's preparation for conception is happening long before you even attempt to start conceiving. The nutritional environment you create now shapes the hormonal balance, the egg quality, the uterine receptibility, and that is like the parts and the keys that matter the most when we think of conception, when we think of using our body as conception. The information usually that we have is that over 90% of women who are trying to conceive in high-income countries had low to marginal status for one or more key nutrients, including folate, vitamin B12, vitamin D. And over 90%, these are not just women living in scarcity, right? These are women who are in developed nations that have food access, healthcare access, and many of them are high achieving, health conscious, doing everything right, and working hard on themselves, on their body. And yet this deficiency still remains. It's about depletion, a body that's been running hard for a really long time on insufficient nutritional reserves. That's why I said it's not going to take you 3 months to overhaul your nutritional impact of your life. It's probably going to take you close to a year, dare I say, to really cause a tantrum, 2 years. And that's why I said it's not just you're changing your diet. You're changing your diet to be more conception ready. No, you're changing your lifestyle to be more conception, to just be not in depletion for the rest of your life. So usually some of the symptoms that some people may feel, like what you feel in your body potentially, is tired in a way that sleep doesn't really fix it. skin, hair, energy levels have been telling you for a while that something's kind of amiss, you're usually probably attributing it to your schedule, to your stress, to your age. And even though those things can be true, they're definitely impactful factors. Those things are also modifiable. So if we know they're modifiable, why haven't we modified them? Deficiencies in key nutrients have been associated with impaired ovarian function, with disrupted menstrual cycles, and increased risk of pregnancy and complications. These are not some abstract risks. They're showing up in your body right now as symptoms that has been managed around. The key nutrients and what they actually do, what is really needed is folate, iron, zinc, vitamin D, omega-3s that play a huge role in ovulation, implantation, and early fetal development. Folate specifically is really critical in the early weeks of pregnancy, for women even before she knows she's pregnant, right? That's why they place folate in our bread and our food, because it really helps with the neural tubes closing well, and which usually makes folate an essential key and in the preconception nutritional asset during that time, because most of the things regarding the neural tubes occur before you're even aware that you're pregnant. So we just implemented it in bread and things like that, but actually also taking an additional folate supplement is helpful. Vitamin D functions like a hormone than vitamins in the body normally. It's connected to egg quality, hormonal regulation, and endometrial readiness to implant the egg, the uterine environment readiness to receive the embryo. Iron, only 20% of fertile women have adequate iron stores, and we know for sure that every time you have a period, your iron is being depleted, so on a monthly basis. And that's why we check your CBC not only in the beginning of your pregnancy, but also in the middle of your pregnancy towards the into the beginning of your second to third trimester, to check your iron levels again, because we also know that baby depletes your stores. The fourth nutrient that we talked about was omega-3s, and this is an anti-inflammatory that supports egg quality as well and hormonal balance. And most women are significantly not consuming enough omega-3s in their diet. So what can you do? What are the options available to you now? Prenatal vitamins are usually where first point of like start taking your prenatal vitamins, right? And since we're talking about specific conception, if you know you want to get pregnant, a part of that 3 months to a year would be to start taking prenatal vitamins. And the reason why most people don't really start with that, I feel like people think of that as a logical first step of like, oh, I want to get pregnant, I'm going to start taking my vitamins. But we don't also talk about a full nutritional reassessment of what you eat and what you need to eat to support the intake of iron, the intake of omega-3s, the intake of folate, the intake of vitamin D just in your life. And despite all this evidence and the growing initiatives calling to improve prenatal assessment and care, because I would tell you, like, if you went to your midwife, your physician, your NP, your PA to really discuss preconception counseling, they're probably going to tell you a stream of everything I just told you. And it's correct information. They may tell you specifically, if they're really onto it, after they get your menstrual history, they may offer you a pelvic ultrasound. They may offer you more testing just to check your like lab levels, your thyroid levels, and things like that, just to make sure everything's great. They may even check your AMA to see related to your egg reserves and things like that if you went in for preconception. But a lot of it is left up to you to deal with. A lot of it's left to you got it. Call us when there's a problem. So I want to bring more attention to this area now in this series that we're creating of the edge of conception, so that you're well informed. Because one, we know that medicine focuses on what to add: folate, iron, vitamins, and you want to really delve into like, what can I actually alter to change? And thinking of your body as the soil, not just a metaphor, is a biological reality for yourself. What has been depleted from your soil over years due to high performance, high chronic stress, undernourishment, over-exercise, under-exercise, needs to be further connected to the reality of, is your soil of your body actually ready to support conception? As a high achieving woman, you often feeds everyone everything around her before you're actually looking into yourself. Your nutritional depletion is not something that is like haphazard or the last minute topic. It is usually the physical evidence of someone who's been treating themselves last. So the deeper question I want to leave you with before we get into the deeper section of this is, what would it mean to nourish yourself, not as a preparation for someone else's arrival, but because you're already worthy of it? With the springboard of understanding that self-nourishment is an afterthought for women, and we usually think of this only as like, oh, we can see this in the lens of like the stay-at-home mom who's like running around everywhere, or the mom with all the kids. No, there's many single women, there's many women without children who are also undernourishing themselves, and thinking of proper time, money spent, resources attained to really focus in and dial in to your nutrition is an afterthought. It's not a big deal. Yet we know there's plenty of registered dietitians that are covered by insurance, covered through hospital networks and things like that, that you should have access to, that you can access to. It doesn't need to be some elaborate plan that you overhaul your nutrition diet. Sometimes the best first step is deciding that you're going to really look at this. And that usually is always a mental block. Do you feel deserving of someone who actually has a nutritionist? Or is there shame around it? Is there a pompous attitude towards of like, oh, that's for other people, not for me? The second thing is optimizing your output and under-resourcing your body to still produce what you do. Nutrition is simply the baseline conversation that we're using to really highlight that what you're feeding yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically is not sustainable for what you're expecting your output, what you're expecting your creativity to give you, what you're expecting your life to manifest for you, what you're expecting yourself to attain and work hard for and hustle for and get. You're driving on nothing. You have no fuel in the tank. And you have historically had no fuel in the tank. This is a broader lens to think about this. How much fuel are you actually giving your actual vehicle of a body to be able to achieve the things you want to achieve? The third thing in this arena that I want to highlight is preconception nutrition is the first act of mothering. It is before conception, before pregnancy, you are making an active decision that you are prioritizing self. And in prioritizing self, you are prioritizing your child. Before anything, are you worthy of that? Do you see yourself as a mother who prioritizes herself to act as a person who prioritizes her child? Not in the reverse of I'm prioritizing my child to then prioritize myself. That is still that undernourishment. That is still that last afterthought. That is still putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole. You cannot pour from an empty cup. We hear this said time and time and time again. Yet in practice, in our real reality, that is what we are doing. We are pouring and pouring and pouring, knowing good and well there's nothing there. We know there's nothing there. You and I know, listening to my voice, there's nothing there. You have no reserves. You're running on zero. The first step is always noticing to acknowledge. That's the whole purpose. I want you to notice, to acknowledge, to then validate. And that's why it's beyond just preconception. It's beyond just pregnancy. It's beyond just postpartum. Because in all those three phases, you're doing it for, right? You're doing it for your child. This is a forever lifestyle reenactment and change based off a core belief that you now designed around self. I am choosing to be selfish. I am choosing to be self-driven. I am choosing to put myself as top priority number one, never gonna move. And in this one aspect of my life, through my nutrition, I'm going to enact this new core belief. Through my nutrition, through my actual sustenance that I need to power my body, I am going to do this one act of rebellion, this one act of villainhood, this one act of self-actualization so that I can get the results I want. That's it. I say all the time, life is a result type of game. You know this to be so true. Life is a result-driven game. Nothing else works unless you got the results, unless you got the facts, the tangibles. If we know that to be true, why are we not applying it in our actual lives? Why are we not applying it in our actual realities? In our every single moment? And it's more than just, I'm going to choose to have a salad today. Eating a salad every day is still not probably hitting your nutritional needs. It is seeking out professional advice, going to the dietitian, going to the nutrition, signing them up, making them a part of your care team. Yes. Spending money, time, resources on the things that value to give you the most optimal results. That's all that you're doing. This is a result game. Life is a result game. You want the best results, hire the best people so that they can support you in getting the best results. Hire the trainer, get the gym membership, get the things, but I'm using nutrition just as the offshoot of what other areas of your life are you not prioritizing yourself? What other areas of your life are you not really getting to live the life you want to live? What other areas? To add further depth to this, nourishment as a worthiness practice, asking yourself, do I deserve to be well resourced? The body that's genuinely nourished makes different decisions, moves differently in your life, and conceives from a different place. And it's beyond just the actual conception of a baby. It's conception of ideas, conception of this, of your actual power, conception of resources, time, money. We know that people who are well fed, and I'm not saying this to be salacious, someone who's nutritionally well fed, well programmed, their emotional and mental landscape is so much more clear. Sometimes that's the only thing that changes in their life, them prioritizing their nutrition, really prioritizing themselves, to then operate in a way that they get to have everything they want. Because if you prioritize yourself by practicing nutritional optimization for yourself, you'll soon realize that a lot of things that you do in this life actually have no real gain for you. It's a loss. Yeah, you never thought of it as a loss before, but it's a loss. So what other areas of life is worth cutting out? What other areas of life are worth restructuring? Tending the soil is an act of self-sovereignty, not just a fertility strategy. So, more reflective questions I'm going to leave you with is, when was the last time you genuinely nourished yourself? Not supplements, not optimized, but nourished. And it doesn't even have to be through the lens of nutrition, nourishment. 2, where in your life are you running on depleted reserves and managing around it? 3, if your body is the ground where life begins, how have you been tending it? This pattern of under-resourcing yourself while also over-delivering for everyone else around you, that's, as we've already highlighted, way deeper than nutrition. This is the identity work. This is the shift. This is the core belief change needed to enact the result-driven life you want. You want results. I'm not even going to front with you. You want good results. You want exemplary results. You don't want just average Joe, regular, degular, want results. Your life is exhibit A of a very well result-driven life. I'm simply uncovering what are those results built on stress, improper nourishment, not proper identity work. And yes, you can still have the life you want, if not a better life, if you spend the time to do the identity work. And that's what we do in Edge. I give you the space. I offer you the permission. I offer you the architecture and the activation to be a result-driven life that is sourced not in stress and under nutrition, but sourced with proper identity work and proper optimization of self. So if you're interested in that, you can find the link down below. And what I want to close off with in general is that your body's not a machine that needs to be fueled. I know I used the car example, but sometimes that's the only way I can meet y'all sometimes. It is soil that needs proper tending always for the rest of your life. That's it. And the quality of that tending starts now. We can't go back retrospectively and complain about all the bad things we did and, oh my God, all the bad behaviors. I can't believe I was smoking and vaping and doing all this. Now, what do we have now? What are we willing to change now? How radical are we willing to allow that change to facilitate change in all areas of our lives? I want to empower you to change that now. I'm super, super happy that you were able to listen and through this video. I'm always very grateful for your opinions. Please share, like, and subscribe and comment down below because we're adding to this series as we go. Next time's video will be about age infertility and navigating the pressure of that. So if you like that, that's what we're really getting into next time. I'm super happy to have you and grateful. I'll talk to you later. Bye.